Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card uses the Botanical Bloom set by Stampin' Up. It was just released. I like this silhouette with the lines that go inside. You can do them a different color. You could do them black or white. A lot of options. So for picking the colors on this card, I knew I wanted a blue and a purple. I really like Pool Party a lot. And Rich Razzleberry is kind of like a violet purple. I really like these two together. So when I was thinking about a third color, I first started off with Real Red. And I thought the Real Red and the blue go pretty nicely together, but these two with the purple, I just didn't like it very much. They're both pretty bright. They're very close to each other in the rainbow, and I just didn't think that they would go very well. All right, next I tried pink. The pink and the blue, I like some pinks and blues together, and these were okay. I think the pink was a little too pinkish for that blue. And for the purple, I think it was just a little bit too close. Next, I tried orange, and the orange seemed a little too warm for this cool blue. With the purple, it was okay. It kind of reminded me a little of Halloween, and so I wasn't too keen on that. Next, I tried the So Saffron Yellow. It's a very subtle yellow, and I really liked the way it looked with the purple. It just complemented it really well. And also it went great with the blue. It was pretty close to blue in the rainbow, so those two colors will match pretty well together, especially this blue, which is kind of a greenish blue. And that's even closer to yellow in the rainbow. So notice that I'm checking these colors to make sure they go with each one individually, and then they'll go together as a whole. Anyway, so I'm going to be using the extra thick Stampin' Up! Cardstock. You can see how thick it is. It's even thicker than the Nina Solar White. I'm using Stampin' Up! Ink, so that's why I wanted to use Stampin' Up! Cardstock. And I'm going to save cardstock by just stamping directly to my card base. I'm going to go ahead and score this with my Martha Stewart mini scoreboard, and then I'll get started. So I'm going to measure 3 inches left and 3 inches up. And then I'm going to connect those two lines with a dotted line, and this is just to provide a guide for me for where my fog cardstock later is going to go. So I know I need to stamp at least to these dotted lines. I'm going to do the same exact thing on the upper corner. So I'm going to do 3 inches down and 3 inches across and connect those as well with just a few dotted lines. Alright, now I noticed my cardstock just kept popping up because it's my card base. So to keep it in place while I stamp, I'm just going to put some surgical tape on the bottom and at the top in the areas where I won't be stamping. So I'm going to start off with my Rich Razzleberry, and I'm going to ink it up nice and stamp it right there. And this is a great ink. It's a very vibrant, rich color, and it stamps great on this cardstock. So I'm just going to do a couple of random ones. I don't want too much purple because this is a pretty dark purple. Next, I'm going to stamp some Pool Party flowers. I'm going to hang them off the edge a little bit. I'm keeping in mind that I'm going to be stamping some smaller flowers later, so I'm leaving some space in between. Now, I didn't get a good impression on this one, so I had to stamp it again, but these Stampin' Up! Inks don't stain your stamps very much, so it's really kind of nice with these clear stamps in this ink. I'm also creating a mask because I'm going to be using that later. And notice that I stamped all the big ones first, and that way I fill up the big spaces, and then I go back in with the smaller ones to fill in the rest of the space. So I'm going to add a few more of these So Saffron, and then I'm going to create a mask for the small flowers. I'm just going to create one big one and one small one for the mask. I don't want to create too much work for myself, so I'm going to cut these out. I used Post-it, but you could use masking tape if you want. So I'm going to cover these kind of one or two at a time, and then I'll use my black, this tiny little set of flowers that comes with the set, and I'm going to have these flowers stamped all in between these other flowers. I'm going to be embossing on top of these, the colored flowers in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that my ink was thoroughly dry before I did that. So I'm going to kind of move my mask around. I'm going to speed this up in a bit here, and just keep moving the mask from flower to flower and stamping in between and around each of the ones that I'm masking. It's really important that you use an ink that dries quickly. The first time I did this card, I used VersaFine Black Onyx ink. It's a pigment ink, and it's one of my favorites, but it doesn't dry quickly, and so it was getting all over my fingers because I was touching the masks, and there was all these layers on the masks that I was stamping, and so it became kind of a mess. So I switched to Memento Tuxedo Black and went from there. So anyway, just a little tip for you. Okay, so I finished that whole entire process, and I'm just going to grab a straight edge. I grabbed my Post-it, and I'm just going to put it up against those dotted pencil lines I had to make sure that I went beyond that so that it would be covered with my fog cardstock later, and I did, so all is good. This is fog cardstock by Simon Says Stamp. I love this color. It's kind of like a taupey light gray. And what I'm going to do is the same thing I did with the white cardstock, except now I'm measuring 3 1/16 of an inch, and that'll make sure I go over those flowers that I had stamped. As you know, I've been using this Fisker's trimmer, and I said I would report back, and to be honest with you, I really don't think it's cutting a straight line every time. I am very particular about my straight lines, and I know this is not straight because when I fold my cardstock, I am getting like a little bit of an overage on one side, and that really bothers me. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the trimmer situation. Anyway, I'm going to use a sentiment from this Oriental Orchid set by Altanode that has some great sentiments. Thinking of you makes me happy, sending you sunshine and smiles, just some really nice ones. And I'm going to use my Misty because I want to get my sentiment as very close to the edge as I can. And I'm going to stamp that with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And then I'm going to take a ruler, I'm going to put it right in the center of my sentiment, and that's why I wanted to get it as close to the edge as possible. And then I'm going to take my Copic liner, my 0.3, and I'm going to extend a line from the sentiment to the edge on both sides. And then I'll position my ruler that same distance away on my other piece of fog cardstock and draw my line. My flowers have had plenty of time to dry, so I'm going to be using this spiral and this small one with a hole in the middle to put in the centers of my flowers. And the reason why I chose that small one with the hole in the middle is because I'm going to be adding a little bit of black for some interest. So I'm going to stamp all these middles with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to sprinkle them with white embossing powder. And I'm even stamping the ones on the edge, so just a portion of the center. And then I'll heat set it. The reason why I wanted to add black to my flowers is because I have all these little black flowers in between, and I wanted to have a little bit of balance with the flowers, the big ones that are colored. So I'm just going to take my Copic liner, again my 0.3, and I'm just going to go in between all of these white lines and just put a black one. And then you can't see it very well on the purple, but with the yellow and the blue you can definitely see it. And then with the little ones I'm just drawing a little dot in the hole there that I have in that stamp. So I'm just going to keep doing this on all the flowers until they're complete. And here's my last one with the little dot. Next, I'm going to adhere my fog pieces. Now, it would have been easier to create that white panel and pop it on top of the fog rather than create these triangles, but I just thought it was fun to have the fog lifted up and have the flowers in the background. And I like the way the fog kind of pops the white in the center. So just a little variation in color and tone really will really make your white pop. And that's the card for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.